It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. My name is Candace Gish. Well, guys, we have our amazing monthly guest coming back on our program, and I'm very excited to be chatting with her. But if this is your very first time tuning into the Divas That Care, a huge welcome. Divas That Care is now in its 12th season. We are listened to in over 30 countries around the world, and it's because of all of our amazing listeners that we're able to do this. So, you know what? Thank you. Please thank the person that introduced you to the Divas That Care, because we really appreciate them also. All right, today's amazing monthly guest is Rhonda Armour.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't believe it's April and we're back at it, but I'm super excited to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm always so excited about this, and we always have a great show. But Rhonda, could you introduce yourself to our new listeners tuning in today?
Absolutely. So I am a nutrition and lifestyle coach as well as a personal trainer. And sometimes that can be sort of a daunting thing to hear, because people are like, oh, goodness, like she's, got everything all straight with her nutrition and workouts and things like that. But I'm really a realist. I really represent real life and real coaching. And I'm working with real women that have real struggles, sort of putting their self-care back at the top of their priority list, because I know personally how difficult it can be. And I work with primarily women, and it's all virtual. So no matter where you're listening from today across the world, I am, happy to help my clients always on all aspects of their self-care, not just what food they put in their bodies, but just make sure that they're being kind to themselves and they're just taking such good care of themselves so that they can be, great employees or business owners or parents or, sisters and brothers and all those types of things, and really just taking a real approach so that we can take good care of our health physically, mentally, and emotionally.
I love that. And you really are making a difference. The last couple of years, we've had a lot of stuff going on, and we really need to get back to feeling the best that we can feel ourselves. I am so happy that you've been teaching us so many things that I use on a daily basis because of what you've shared with us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you're right. It has been a rough couple of years, and, we've sort of been hibernating because we've been forced to, and I think that it can be really helpful to start to, come out of our shell and out of our homes and really start to refocus on what's important to us around our wellness and our health and self-care. And that just means taking baby steps. We've talked about that before, right? Integrating small habits, daily, over time, build your confidence in your ability to follow through on those habits, and you will get to where you want to be. You don't have to change everything all at once, but I think it's a great time, especially as, spring is here, trying to really put our self-care back, on the priority list, that maybe it's sort of fallen to the bottom and we've sort of forgotten about how to take care of ourselves, and really just putting it as a priority and saying, okay, enough is enough. I'm ready to do this and I'm ready to feel amazing again.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And we're getting ready for summer too, because I don't think, depending on, I guess, where you are, we haven't really had the opportunity to really experience summer in so long.
I know. It feels like it's been forever, and I feel like, people I talk to, everyone's so excited. I'm here in Ontario, Canada, and, it's technically spring, but it's not as warm as we'd maybe like it to be. So we're getting there. But you're right. Everyone's excited, for summer, again, depending on where you are in the world. But we all know that the nice weather, can really drive us to feel really good and to get back out into nature and to feel our best. So, we need to talk about how we can feel our best going into summer today.
Everyone, we are really excited because, like Rhonda said, we are excited to get into summer. I have all these amazing plans, and I want to feel good. So, Rhonda, let's talk about that. How are we going to be able to get to that point so that we feel good this summer?
Right. I think the first thing I wanted to make sure that I mention is I'm very aware that, social media can play a really big role in what we're seeing in terms of how to take care of ourselves. And when summer approaches, we will often see a lot of things around dieting and about sort of what I think are drastic measures to, whether to lose weight or to just, tone up your body and all these like bikini ready type things. And I really don't subscribe to that sort of mentality. And I really encourage people to, instead of getting caught up in that sort of mentality where you have to make drastic changes so that you can, feel good over the summer, I think we should take a step back from that. I think that's the first thing. Sometimes we get really desperate because we, have been we just talked about hibernating, not just because it's been winter, but because of COVID as well. And we've been at home and maybe we're not feeling the best that we could. And so we want to sort of jump into these drastic things to make a quick change. And we're really not looking for a quick fix. We want to make some changes to our nutrition, to our fitness, getting out in nature, which does wonderful things for our health, making sure we're sleeping, start drinking that water again to stay hydrated, all the small things, instead of subscribing to sort of a thought or a program or a diet around one way in order to feel good for summer. So that would be the first thing I would sort of mention and caution you on, is to really unsubscribe from that, sort of mentality, that diet mentality, drinking shakes to lose all this weight in a certain amount of time. It's just not realistic, and it's not going to have you feeling good about your habits. I think that. Yeah, I want people to be realistic about what you're willing and able to do with regards to your self-care habits. And not getting caught up in sort of the latest fad that you might see on social media. So I would definitely start there, Candace.
Well, and, we've definitely talked about that over some of our other programs, is that there's so many things out there, and we get really overwhelmed with what we should be doing for ourselves. And I think, honestly, that's what the problem is. We always want to try things that we think are going to work for us, and then in the long run they don't, and then we get discouraged, and it's just that it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel that the majority of us go through that because we really think we're doing a great job. We're listening to all this advice, and it's not getting us anywhere.
Absolutely. And part of that, what in my experience in doing, what I do on a daily basis, and with my own experiences too, trust me, I get how hard it is to, take good care of yourself. I understand it. I have a busy life, I have a business, I have 2 kids, so I get it. But I think a lot of it comes from the fact that we don't trust ourselves. So when we buy into different diets and different sort of fad things, especially around summertime, that apparently promise us all these results that we're so looking for, and we're just so desperate to have change, that it's because we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves to make good choices. So we feel we need to follow a set of rules that are associated with the diet, right? And so what I would encourage people to do is to start trusting yourself again. You know what it takes for you to feel good. We all know what's healthy food versus unhealthy food. We know that we need to move our bodies. We know that we need to manage our stress. We need to get, a certain number of hours of sleep, a night. We know what we need to do. And I want everyone to start to trust themselves again versus putting their trust in some sort of program that is not made for you. And go back to some of the basics around just good health. Like I said, eating good, healthy food, preparing that in advance, doing some planning, getting out in nature and walking and being active. We know what we need to do, and we need to start trusting ourselves a little bit more, I think, to get to where we want to be, instead of putting our trust in another program or diet that isn't going to serve us very well.
I like that. I'm going to ask you, is it true that when you're stopping and starting different types of cycles, different types of programs, is that when it's really bad for you because you're very strict, and then all of a sudden you stop, and that's when you gain weight? So how is this on your health?
It's actually it wreaks havoc on your health, not only physically, okay, and we can't see what's going on inside of our body, but physically when we stop and start these things, especially when they're very drastic measures, but the mental impact it has on us, right? We start something, we think we're really excited because we're gonna do X, Y, Z, and we're gonna do all these things, and then when we don't do it, we beat ourselves up about it. There's shame associated with it. We feel bad. We feel guilty. Then we're like, oh, well, what's the point of this? I can't do this. I feel like a failure. And then we go to the extreme of really not taking care of ourselves, right? Because we think, what is the point, right? And then you get sick and tired of sort of feeling like that. So then you start something else. versus let's just take baby steps and change small things. We've talked about this in previous shows, right? Mm-hmm. Take some small steps. What is one thing that you could fix today or start to work on today? Maybe that means, you know what, I'm just going to start walking outside more, or I'm going to start drinking more water, and you build on that versus going all in, right, on some sort of program or diet that you think is going to be the answer, because it's not. And you're right, stopping and starting, that whole cycle, it's vicious.
And I think it's the instant gratification. We live in a society that it's instant gratification, so that when we don't see the results instantly, we think that we're failures. Yeah. And then we do something else. I think that's the worst thing that's ever happened, is that we feel like we need to have results instantly. And I love how you're saying, baby steps. Let's just do this one step at a time. But I think that as a society, we feel, no, it has to happen overnight.
Yeah, it absolutely. You're totally right. And we're not good at being patient, right? We're not good at, like I said earlier, trusting ourselves that we're on a path that's going to work for us. And you're right, we want instant results, and it doesn't work like that. And it's unfortunate because people don't allow for time to pass and for changes to just take place. And, I want to remind people that when you go super strict with, some sort of diet or program that you think is going to work, I want you to remember that whoever put this program together, right, or diet, was not thinking about you. Right? They were not thinking about you as a human being and what your likes are, what your dislikes are, what your schedule is like in your life, what is your family like, what are the dynamics. It's not made for you. So trying to integrate habits from a program that are not about you is not going to work long term. And that's why it's important to trust yourself and say, okay, this is what's going to work for me because I know me best. Right? And whether, again, around the area of nutrition and the food you're putting in your body and how you're going to implement those habits, when you're going to get your exercise in, how you're going to get good sleep, all of those different habits, and make it about you and a custom plan versus a plan that you've seen online or your friend is doing or, whatever. It's not made for you. And I want you to start to think about that, and that's why it fails. Right? It's not you that's failing. The program has failed you. You have not failed. And that's the difference, right? And you're right about the instant gratification. And then the other thing is about a diet is what happens if you do see results and you're patient enough to have results, and then you get to the point where maybe you reach your goal, right, of whatever that might look like. It's not always tied to weight loss either at all. But what if you reach your goal with this particular program or diet? Then what? Have you really learned how to take care of yourself without somebody else telling you how to do it, right? So I really want people to take ownership, right? And take that ownership back and trust yourself and be strong in who you are and what's going to work for you instead of trusting some other person, program, diet, whatever it might be, and instead create a plan that's going to work custom for you that's been created by you.
So, Rhonda, talk to me about when you're meeting with somebody. Tell me the steps on how it works.
So when I initially meet with someone, they fill out a bunch of paperwork just so I can get to know what their life is like. And we start small, based on the paperwork that they filled out. It's very, obvious very quickly what some of the main issues are. And again, it could be about, and any particular, it could be the food, which is often the food it tends to be a big step. It could be the fitness. It could be maybe they're not sleeping at all. Maybe they're really stressed because they have a high stress job. But then we zero in on little habits related to each of those areas. So if it is food, we don't just, I don't give out meal plans. I don't tell people what to eat because, again, that's not about them. But we explore, okay, what are you eating right now? And how can we sort of make some small changes? Let's focus on just breakfast, for instance. And how do we make some small tweaks while giving you lots of choices that you can turn to so that you feel like you're back in control. You're in the driver's seat. It's not me saying, okay, listen, you have to have a protein shake every day for breakfast. And then the person says, but I don't like protein shakes. Well, then there you go. That's not going to work, right? Yeah. But if we can give you, 4 or 5 other choices that work for you, then you feel like you're back in the driver's seat because now you get to decide what's going to work. And we build the meals and the choices. Same with fitness. I don't tell people how to work out or what specific plans, to do. I want you to do what you love because then you're going to do it. Yeah. Right? So when I work with people, we're just doing small habits. If they're going to bed at 1 a.m. and not getting enough sleep. Can we back it up and try 12:30? And we just make small things so it's not like we're turning the world upside down. And whether you're working with me or you're just trying to do this on your own, it's the same thing. Let's pick out the big things and then really narrow them down and zero into some specific habits under that sort of umbrella of either nutrition, fitness, sleep, whatever, and pick some specific habits. But every person is going to be different on what sort of a priority for them and where we need to start. But we start small, Candace. We really, really start small. But that's what builds their confidence, because then when they see, okay, I can do this, and then we build from there.
Well, and I really like how you mentioned that sleep is a big part of it. People don't realize how important, getting enough sleep every night will really change things.
Absolutely. It's really one of the foundational pieces, because we all know how we feel when we don't sleep. We don't feel well. We don't feel alert. We don't have energy. We know we don't make good choices. Around food, or whether or not we're going to get our workout in that day, or whatever else it has to do with. We're just not, we're not on our game, right? We don't have as much control over everything as we would like, because we're just too tired to handle whatever life is sort of throwing at us, and we're just sort of barely keeping our head above water. And that's not how we want to feel. So if you can think of sleep as foundation, if you can have, be getting good sleep, that is what creates a strong foundation for you being able to implement the other healthy habits that you're looking to implement.
I love it. And that, what a simple way to get started, to start feeling better for summer. And that's what we're all about today. So Rhonda, what other kind of tips do you have to help some of our listeners today? We definitely want to share how they can get a hold of you, but besides that, what kind of tips can you provide us today?
Yeah, so for summer, we talked about it being like, a fantastic time of year. It's something we're all looking forward to. And I just, want to remind people that summer can sometimes, take on a life of its own in terms of barbecues and gatherings and weddings and all these, cottages and all these fun things that we like to do, which we find, I often have people say, well, I find it really hard to, eat healthy in the summer, and I find it hard to dedicate myself to my workouts. And I want people to remember that just because it's summer doesn't mean that we still can't have some routine, that we can't, we can still have some planning involved and think ahead, be proactive, and really make it work for you. Doesn't mean you need to give up all the fun by any means. But let's not let it be sort of a free-for-all where by the time we are finished with summer that we feel worse than when we went into summer, right? It's a great opportunity to find some balance with the fun, but also taking back control over your health. So that still means, being able to attend that local barbecue at the friend's house down the street, but it also means that, maybe you're bringing some food to the occasion so that you are, contributing something healthier so that there's not, limited options for you. There's all sorts of, strategy that has to go into having a successful summer, not only from the fun perspective, but from your self-care perspective as well. So be proactive, plan, follow some routine still, and of course have fun, because that will propel you to, continue to move forward in your self-care journey.
I love it. It is, and that's what it is. It's just a journey, guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. Rhonda provides amazing tips to help you live your life to the best that you can live it. Really enjoy it, have fun, but have those good, healthy habits, and then you'll feel better, and then you'll be happier, and that impacts the people around you, which I really love. And that's why I love having you on here, because Rhonda, it's not just the person that you're working with that it's helping everybody around them, trickling effect that it just works with everybody else. So Rhonda, how can our listeners get a hold of you so that they can work with you, they can follow you? What's your social media handles?
So you can find me at Rhonda Armour Coaching on Instagram and Facebook, and my website is rhondaarmourcoaching.com. You can see my different programs there and sort of my methodology around coaching, which I talked a lot about today. It's real life, it's real coaching, and you get a feel for that on my website as well. And then you can reach out if you just want to touch base and see how it all works and more details for you. There's no pressure to commit to anything. I love to just chat with women to see how we can, maybe put their self-care back at the top of the priority list.
And Rhonda, so one last question I have for you.
Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming workshops, anything like that for our listeners?
I don't have any current workshops, but I was thinking about this because I kind of teased it last week, and I thought maybe it's time to spill the beans a little bit. And this really goes in line with what we talked about today around, not sort of subscribing to diets and programs that don't work for you, and really trying to start small and build on those habits. I actually am working on a book right now, Candace, which I'm really excited about.
Wow.
And a lot of my own personal stories around, my relationship with food and some of the battles I have faced around my own self-care. I have some stories about clients that are, often amazing, inspirational stories, but also just sort of some real tidbits of information that I feel that kind of the everyday woman can really zero in on and relate to. So I have that in the works. So it won't be coming out to probably the fall. But I thought I'd throw it out there because I think it's going to be sort of a must read in terms of just like, let's call things how they are, and let's be real about this and the struggles that we all have about taking good care of ourselves. And then, there's some hopefully, like I said, some helpful tidbits of information that might be inspirational for those out there.
I am so excited about that, Rhonda. Yes. Congratulations. I can't wait to be able to read it and have you back on, when the book obviously is going to be launching and getting that information to our listeners.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. I think it's going to be, I tried to be as real as I could in it so that it wasn't just, another diet book. It's not like that at all. It's the complete polar opposite of that. That's not what we need right now. We need some real discussion and real conversation about what we're all sort of going through. And so hopefully it touches some hearts and people get something out of it.
Well, I'm pretty sure they will. This is amazing, and we're really excited about that. Rhonda, I am so happy that you took the time today to chat with all of us today. I love chatting with you and learning from you. And for all of our listeners, Rhonda does have quite a few shows with the Divas That Care. We do have a playlist now that we have posted on SoundCloud with all of Rhonda's shows that it's really easy to access. You can also listen to all of Rhonda's shows at divasthatcare.com. Rhonda, I'm really excited because next month we will have you back on the program to chat more.
Thank you so much, Candace. It's always an honor to be here. You do amazing work, so I'm very grateful. Thank you again for having me.
It is my pleasure. I love chatting with you, honestly. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in today. We have such a great time on Divas That Care. We have so many amazing new hosts. We have so many amazing, great guests that come onto our show. Thank you guys so much for taking this call. Please share it with your friends and family. Go check out all of our other programs. That's what the Divas That Care is all about, is supporting, inspiring, empowering, sharing, collaborating, everything that we can do to get people to have conversations, to share amazing stories, and to uplift you. We really want that. That's what we want, is to make the world a better place. And we always say that one podcast at a time. We hope to be able to do that. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the Divas That Care. I hope that you have a great day, and please do something kind. Until next time, everyone.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.